Right, so a lot of people that watch my videos not very fond of Jason Kenney. I definitely have my criticisms, but still the fact that the NDP are just so out there, you have to very, very, very tacitly, or with a lot of care, support them. But anyway, I wanted to make a video calling Jason Kenney and the UCP out because they need to improve things, and like I say too, I mean they need to be more open to an idea of a Wexit. But like I say, the thought of an NDP getting back in power in Alberta is so scary that, to me, I'm not a lesser of two evils voter in most situations, but to me the NDP is, and the gap between the NDP and the UCP is still big enough that I would still probably vote for them. But the gap between the conservatives and the liberals federally, definitely not nearly big and not nearly enough. But anyway, he put out this tweet, and I want to kind of criticize him a bit because they need some criticism. Um, he said he wholeheartedly agrees with Scott Moe. Any credible emissions reduction plan must include serious consideration of zero emitting nuclear power. Small modular reactor technology has great promise. Alberta is open to working with Saskatchewan and other provinces on this. Now, he is right that any credible rendition, in his idea that if you want to cut emissions, you do have to bring in nuclear power, because nuclear power does have very little. I don't think it's actually zero emitting. I think it's just very little um, nuclear power. And the problem with a lot of these climate change people is that their ideas are completely unfeasible, and but they're 100% sure of their views, and that's the problem with these climate change people, is that they're so out there, but yet they think they're so right that there's no reasoning with them. And the thing I wanted to bring up too is that, like he is right, if we are going to get rid of coal, or cut down on oil and gas, well then nuclear power is where it's at. But on the other hand, I want to criticize him in that we don't need to. Climate change is not an issue. Like I don't understand why. Like, to me, it seems like he's kind of tacitly supporting. Oh, maybe if we give in a little bit, then they'll let us off the hook. And that's the problem with this kind of stuff, is that whenever you give in to abusers, it only invites more abuse, because abusers are always going to do the most they possibly can that they can get away with, right? The bully will bully you as much as they can without that they can get away with. Someone's scamming you is going to scam you just enough to so that they can get away with it because they don't want to get caught. And that's what the liberals are going to do, and the East is going to do to Alberta and Saskatchewan, is that, like I always say, that's their strategy for keeping us at bay, is that they're always going to give in just enough to so that the majority of Albertans are still in support of them. And the people need to realize that it's not fair. And um, like I said too, I'm gonna get back to the whole climate change thing. Like I said, climate change is not an issue. We have zero reason to cut down on coal, on oil and gas, on all that stuff. And Alberta's economy was doing good when we weren't worried about climate change and all this BS. And like I say too, the science is not settled too. Like, scientists don't agree. The only reason that you think that is because you've had someone who has a biased opinion that's told you that, and you've just taken their word for it. You haven't looked up the data. I've yet to meet someone in person or online who can cite. I mean, online you could just Google it, but let's just say in person. I've talked to quite a few people who supports climate change, or at the very least doesn't think that it's a complete non-issue like I do, that can cite off the top of their head the actual, how much has the Earth warmed over the last 50 or 100 years? They don't know. What are the current CO2 levels? What were the CO2 levels, 100 years ago? They don't know. They don't know the most basic of basic facts that, if they actually had any evidence behind their opinion, they would know. Like, that stuff literally takes 5 minutes of Googling. Now, the problem with the temperature things is that they've lied about a lot of the data, so they're going to exaggerate it. And not only that, they can pick and choose, the periods when they start it to make it look more favorable to their opinion. or to their what they want to get. But even that, like they don't even know the bias data. And that's the problem too, is that these people are just taking other people's word for it, not checking into it whatsoever, and they think that they're somehow educated on the topic, and you literally you haven't done 5 minutes of research on your own in your entire life. Literally, they haven't done 5 minutes of research on their own in their entire life, because if they did, that would be the first thing that they would look up, the first thing. And it's the same thing with, like I always bring up, but gun control. People haven't they've literally they Google Canada murder rate, US murder rate. US has more guns, Canada has more gun control. US has a higher murder rate, Canada has a lower murder rate, therefore it must be due to gun control. Well, when you dig deeper, you find that that's not true. But like I say, that these people, they do zero research. Their opinion, they just take other people's word for it 100%. Like literally, I do more research in the average day than they do in the average in their literally their entire life. But yet you'll talk to these people, and they'll try talking down to you, like literally. Like that would be like me, like if I was talking to them, and let's say they were, they had a psychology degree or something like that, and I was trying to talk that like I knew more about psychology than they do. Like just imagine that. And that's where we're at with these kind of people. But getting back to Jason Kenney, um, I need to call him out because, like I say, climate change is not an issue. Like this tweet should be. I mean, he should add after the any credible emissions reduction plan part, but say climate change really isn't an issue. So we want to continue to develop our oil and gas sector. That's what he should say. And if he said that, I would agree. But this giving in to the climate alarmists, it's very scary, and it can't be done because they're going to keep taking more and more and more. They don't, it's like the classic example with censorship. They don't just ban, Alex Jones or one person and be like, "Yep, we got our guy, we're done now." They just keep going. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop until they have their socialist utopia. And that's why I need to call him out. So anyway, I've talked enough about this, but like I say, I wanted to make a video calling him out because I think he really needs to be doing a better job. But say what you will, like I say, needs to be doing a better job for sure. Not going to disagree with you on that. Um, but anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. I don't want to talk anymore because this kind of stuff really bothers me. But anyway, if you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Check out my PayPal link in the description, and stay tuned for more.